August. I don't see why we shouldn't see him in the ring around Halloween. No, we should see him in the ring before the years.
Yeah,
Nothing, definitely because he didn't take a lot of punishment and the fight wasn't made. So, and he's only 26 years old. So I don't see
yeah,
why we shouldn't see him in the ring at the end of the year. I don't want to see him come back in the spring of next year. That's unwarranted. Wasting the best years of your prime right now.
yeah. That's true. Mile High. What do you think, man? Do you want if he, when he does come back by the end of the year? Do you want to see him more active, man? Do you want to see Ryan more active?
Absolutely, all these youngsters used to be fighting at least 2, 3 times a year.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Albert.
have a quick question for Mile High Hustle. As a fighter, man, you feel like the inactivity has hurt Ryan in this last fight?
Did it hurt him?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Along with all the allegations of him being on performance enhancers, I think a lot of that hurt him. Um, he's not the most active, anyways. But at the same time, your youth, you only have it for so long, man. And seems like your boxing career is prolonged a little just with the way they train now, and the everything and supplementation and stuff. Seems like the boxers they're lasting a lot longer than I think back in the day it would be 30, 33. You'd start seeing them out
Yeah,
of their prime, and seems like it's lasting a little. Like you see Bud, he's in his late 30s. You see Canelo getting up there already, and they're still fighting at a very high level. So you ain't got
yeah,
time, man. You ain't got time to waste. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, Chris. Quick question, man. Are you Puerto Rican or Dominican or what?
I'm actually both.
You're Puerto Rican and Dominican. Wow. Can you
Yeah.
imagine this guy fighting? He'd have the best of both worlds there. Hey, listen. No, the reason I ask is Xander Zayas, Virgil Ortiz is our next topic. I don't know if you guys noticed, Mile High, Albert, Chris, over the weekend, we've had a little beef come up. I don't know if it was Virgil first, but Virgil came at Xander saying, look, man, you're 22 years old and you won the belt, but look who you won it with, not even a top 10 opponent. I fought better guys. I beat Orozco when I was 21, and Orozco had barely lost to Jose Ramirez, a guy that we're just talking about. And then Xander came back with a hard one. What do you say? Talk to me when you're a champion, a world champion. And then he mentioned his age. He's 27, hasn't done anything with it. Is Virgil jealous of Xander's success right now? And is Virgil right? Is Virgil right now better than Xander? I'll start with you, Albert, this time.
Um. And that's a tough question, but if that fight were to be made, it'd be very interesting because now, well, Top Rank doesn't have a home, you know. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they were to fight. And I think Virgil Ortiz reached out to Xander, if I'm not mistaken. He said like congratulations on receiving a belt or something like that, and that's when the back and forth they went back and forth with each other. But I don't know, man. That'd be a tough. It'd be tough to see if it were to happen.
Now, right now, is Virgil better than Xander right now, in your opinion? Even though Xander's a world title holder?
And
Yes. Just but not by a lot, just due to the fact that he's been in there with good opposition. He's fought two top 10 guys already.
The Puerto Rican said this, guys. The Puerto Rican said this.
So because it's true that
Yeah,
he
yeah,
fought for a vacant belt, which wasn't his fault because they gave Fandora, all that money to fight Tim Zeus to make him vacate. That wasn't his fault. But considering who's Virgil Ortiz has fought, and at the route that Oscar De La Hoya has had him in with Madrimov, Bohachuk, Maurice Hooker, Kavalaskis, he's fought a good amount of competition.
yeah.
So at the end of the day, that goes into a play. But Virgil Ortiz has had his chances for the belts. Let's not act like he didn't turn away the Crawford fight. When Crawford was a champ at 147. So to each his own. Definitely right now, Virgil is the more complete fighter, but Xander's got a higher ceiling, I believe. At 22, I don't believe Xander has his man strength. That's my only question with him. I want to see the man strength, and he's got to get that vet in. When you're
Yeah.
22, You got to get that vet, that 30-year-old, that guy that's just like a Lubin maybe. That's the fight I've been wanting, a Xander, a slick boxer with some pop. I want to see him in there with a guy that's going to ruffle his feathers because he just went from hunting to now being the hunted. So let's see how he handles being in that predicament.
Yeah, Mile High, what do you think, man? I mean, you think Virgil was sitting there Saturday night watching this guy get the victory and looking at his dad and said, "Chinga, man, this guy fucking gets the belt and I'm over here 27 busting my ass this whole fucking time and I ain't got shit. Fuck that vato." You know what I mean? Was he kind of like having that hater mode on him?
No, I don't think so. I think Virgil Ortiz is right where he wants to be. Um, I think if that fight happens today, I think it's bad for Xander, to be honest with you.
Wow,
But
okay.
you know, he's 22. He's still, like you said, like Chris said, he's got to grow into his man strength. You don't know if he's growing into that. He could be a late bloomer. Um, you know, Majimov, I thought that was gonna be I thought that was gonna be his toughest test, and look, he handled him with ease. He made him look bad.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, how realistic do you think that fight could possibly be made within the next year and a half?
Not in nowhere. I don't think it'll happen until 2 years because of the age of Xander. And I mean, he's on top of the world right now. And to be honest with you, and answer this for me, guys, I'll go around. Right now, I think Xander's a bigger star than a Virgil. So why would Bob put his big star in trouble with a guy who's not that famous? I think Xander has the bigger fame today. I don't know, Mile High. What do you think? Who's got the bigger fame?
I think Virgil does, but obviously
Yeah.
Xander's got the world title. He's got the world title, so you can't take that away from him. That comes with, comes with something to it. But
Do
you
you
know,
think?
Bob's part of a promoter. He ain't gonna let nobody promote off his fighter like that. You know what I mean? He's gonna let him grow.
Right, right. You think it'll happen within a year and a half to fight?
No,
No. How about you, Chris? Do you think who's a bigger name right now? And if is it going to happen in a year and a half, or maybe no, because Xander's the bigger name and Bob ain't going to feed him over there right now?
Yeah, I'm still gonna have to go with Virgil. You know,
Bigger
considering that there's a good chance that whoever he fights next is gonna be better than anybody Xander Zayas has fought to date. So still got to go with Virgil in the terms of opposition. But like I said, Xander does have the higher ceiling, I believe. But let's
Yeah,
see, because at the end of the day, we never know. We never know. I feel like the conversation will be different, or the conversation would speed up maybe if once Virgil Ortiz gets a belt, because he's been in two divisions. He hasn't had a belt yet in either division, so he's got to do something. I'm surprised how they haven't, but in a way, I like the way Oscar De La Hoya is thinking, how they were trying to match him up with Bakram, and he's like, this is a guy that just fought Bohachuk, now Mandramov. We can't always be tossing guys into dogs. And so, in a way, I understand it, but, clock's ticking, 27. So,
yeah,
man,
yeah,
it's hard because you want him to be a star, or do you want him to be a champion?
yeah. Now, who takes the blame? Mile High, I'll start with you. Who takes the blame for Virgil not being a champion yet? Virgil himself, because we know he's turned down a few fights, or his promoter, Oscar?
got to be on both of them. You know what I mean? It's on both of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
He had a fight with he could have fought Crawford. I don't know how that would have turned out for him. You know what I mean? I think Crawford's at the top of his game.
At that time, yeah, he was a lot better. Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Chris? What do you think, man?
I want to see where it goes. I'm still skeptical because ever since De La Hoya made that comment, he showed me that he plans to manage Virgil Ortiz well, because we know when a fighter wants to fight, the promoter has no choice but to listen to him. Because when Ryan Garcia practically said, "You're gonna get me Gervonta Davis," he had no choice. He said, "I don't want this fight." He straight up said, "I didn't want the fight. I believe it could have waited, but that's what he wanted." He said he wouldn't fight unless it was Gervonta Davis, so we had to take it.
Yeah.
So definitely got to agree with Mile High. It's a both guy thing. I believe promoters have to take more of an advising role. I get promoting is your job, but advising a fighter should be part of the job, and it should be in the job description, because those two go hand in hand. So definitely, if I had to put the blame on somebody or split the pie, it's about 55-45 Virgil's way.
Okay, yeah. And Al, what do you think?
I definitely agree with Mile High and Chris on this one, but I
Both
also
of them?
think, yeah, but I also think his health played a role also because we know how he got sick
Oh yeah,
and he was out for long periods of time, so that did give him a setback to get him closer to a world title.
yeah. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all those questions. That's all I had. But listen, guys, stay with me a couple of more minutes here. We have Mile High Hustle here, and I wanted to ask him a few questions. Mile High, you had your debut. Obviously, I was there for some of your amateur fights. I was calling them on. I was doing my best Max Kellerman chinga. Pero, hey, man, listen, you look a lot more chiseled than back a year ago, man. Pero, hey, how old were you on your debut, man? And what was the fight like?
I'm still 49, so I'm 49. I know a lot of people think that's crazy. It was good, man. I had to do all kinds of stuff for the Colorado Commission. They weren't too happy about the YouTube fight, so I had to talk to them.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, they wasn't too happy about that. So, you know, it was cool, man. I had to do an EKG. I had to go do it's called a safe fitness test, which is for like senior citizens. Passed with flying colors. They just wanted to make sure there was no liability. The dude I got in against, it was his first fight, but he was a monster. He was like 374 pounds, strongman competition. And, we ended up closing the show. And the reason being, we shouldn't have, but the promoter was so worried about the amount of weight that was in the ring. He was worried that if the ring collapsed early in the fight, then the card would have been scrapped. You know what I mean? So he let us fight last. It was a lot of pressure. I was in front of a lot of people, and it was eye opening. It was cool. I had to close the show, which my teammate, it was a state champion. He's got a national title as well. He actually got the knockout right before I fought, so it put a lot of pressure on me. You know what I mean? But we was ready to fight, and we
Yeah.
got a unanimous decision. It wasn't pro; it's pro am, so it's basically it was 3 2-minute rounds, 1 minute rest with no headgear. Um,
Uh-huh.
it went by real fast. We shut him out. I felt this little disrespected going in there because they did a promotion and had it on like a pay-per-view thing, and they did a big old story on him about how he was transitioning from strongman into boxing. And you know what? I kind of knew. My sparring partner's 350, and he got some Mexican style. He just comes forward and he got a gas tank. So I wasn't worried about being in there with such a big man because, like I said, I see that all the time in sparring against my partner Chewy, and
Yeah.
I felt like I was just ready. It was an easy fight. I think my sparring sessions were way harder than the fight. The Colorado Commission all came up to me and was really happy with the performance. Was really like, oh, you guys, I had their blessing, and it was awesome. So
Yeah.
it's
Chris,
cool, man. It's cool.
I got
I'm 50 years old. I'm challenging myself. I'm still in great shape. You know, we're just gonna keep pressing on. We might, do some. We want to do some. How do you say? We're gonna do some fundraising for kids and stuff. We're gonna do some charity work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Awesome, man. That's good. Chris, what do you think, man? Any questions for a 49-year-old man getting in there and fighting for the first time?
Yeah, inspiration. What keeps you going at this age? Like when this is considered a young man's sport. You're young in life, but you're a dinosaur in the ring at that age,
Yes,
basically.
absolutely. You know what, man? I've always taken care of my body. I never drank, smoked. Um, always stayed in pretty good shape. I used to bodybuild. Um, I fought on the streets numerous times. I used to spend my times in, I never had the money to box, so I didn't have money to get a card or anything. But I would hang out in the gym with my cousins. We would spar in the backyard. I'd get my ass beat by them all the time, and I just learned how to fight, man. And when I walked into the gym, of course, I got beat up by all the other guys. And when you walk into a gym, you got a certain look. You could put an X on your back. You know what I mean? And me walking into the gym that I walked into, it just they pushed me, man. You really have to make a choice. Is this what you want to do? Is it worth it? To me, it is, man. I fight demons every day, and to me, it's nothing to get your ass whooped, get bloodied up, or beat up. They heal. bruise his heel. Um, you know, if I start seeing it taking a toll on my body, I'll obviously back up. You know, I'm old enough, I'm wise enough to know that, this is just for, inspiring. Like Chris said, thank you. I appreciate that, man. It's just to let people know that, you know what, just because you're 50 years old don't mean you have to stop doing what you love. You still have something to offer, and it's cool, man. I'm gonna do it for as long as I want to do it. And if it starts to become a strain on me, my family, or my health, then I'll quit.
Yeah. I got one question, and I'll let Albert get the last question. But how tall are you, Mahai?
6'2". I'm 6'2", and I fought at about my same weight that I fought Boxer at, which was 247.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you obviously had a lot of athletic ability. You must have played some sports in the day. Do you have, now that you're boxing and, I called one of your fights and we were out there and all of us have seen a lot of boxing and, everybody was telling you how amazing you are. And man, like, we even tell you got Larry Holmes fighting style with them freaking long ass arms you have. They call you the Mexican Larry Holmes. But do you think to yourself now because now that you see that you're pretty good, do you kind of, does any regret not starting earlier?
A ton. To be honest with you, I did, but I didn't have the mental attribute. I don't know. What makes me great, here's the thing. My coach told me this. He was like, man, I started. My coach is a promoter. He's also a coach, but he was like, I started losing my way. And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, I didn't care anymore. I come into the gym just to run the gym, and I really didn't care about putting any kind of knowledge into anybody. Or, and he said, and somebody changed that for me. And I go, who's that? And he pointed at me, and I was like, man, you don't know who you inspire. This is my coach telling me this, and he's been around boxing his whole life. And
Yeah.
he looks at me and he tells me, man, you put that fire back on me. He goes, you come in here and work harder than. He was like, I wish some of my, I got champions, Conrad, that don't work as hard as you do. They don't come in here and put the time in. He goes, I was talking to the kids, and like, he's in here every day. Every day he's in here. He gets injured, he'll still be in here. He comes in here. He demotes it, he pushes his time, and it means something to me. I look at those kids, and I just want to show them there's another way. You know what I mean? I messed up a lot. There's a lot of regret in my life. I did prison time, but I wish I would have walked in there at an earlier age. Would I have been ready for it? I don't know, but and
Well, we all
now this is
man,
what,
everybody's
God
seen you
put
fight. We
before
all said
me,
that you got it.
and that, yeah, it's like I said, I love the sport. I've always loved the sport. I've always felt like I've had a style that I could mimic pretty much anybody. You know what I mean? And I feel like I move pretty graceful for an old man. You know what I mean? Some of the guys, I sparred with 18, 19, 20 something year olds. My partner Chewy's 32. He's a juggernaut, man. But I love the sport, man, and as long as I could still do it and be you know, just be competitive, I'm grateful.
Albert, go ahead.
There was a fighter here in Texas. I'm not going to mention names, but when the commission feels like it's a risk, they make them jump through hurdles. They have to pay also those hurdles. Is it the same over there in Colorado? Did you have to pay for those hurdles, all those exams?
Absolutely. I had to pay for a lot of them. I had to personally go to my own doctor for the EKG, um, the safe test. Matter of fact, my doctor didn't even perform that. I had to go to another doctor and get that done. They were afraid, and I understand. I get it. After the fight, they were really surprised. I had them all walking up to me like, "Man, I did not expect that. I thought this was going to be a spectacle." And I thought I dominated, dude. You know what I mean? I dominated him. I didn't run from him. I was in his face the whole night. He couldn't. I hit him with multiple heavy shots. It was way better than my other fight. I kind of fought with my hands down, which I normally don't do, but I knew he couldn't close distance on me, so I controlled the whole fight. It was good. It was fun, man. It was fun. I'm looking forward to another one. We'll see what happens. God's in control, and all I'm gonna do is just keep doing what I can do. That's it.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys for joining us. It was a great show. Listen, we had all parts of the country covered today. We had a damn great reporter join us, Boxing with Chris over in New York. We got South Texas Boxing here from Texas, and we got Colorado in the house. We had some great coverage around America. Chris, thank you for joining us with your expertise. Albert, thank you very much. Mile High, thanks, man. Listen, go out there and catch this guy's fight. I did call it. It's Mile High against Boxer, right? Is that what it's called? Mile High? It's
Oh,
boxer.
the ones on Chicano Street. The ones on Chicano Street. That's on
Yeah, Chicano Street.
Mikey's other channel, so it's
Yeah.
there for free. And then my boxing match with what's his name, Casey, the Celtic Hammer Walters, is on my channel. So if you guys want to catch it, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time and your boxing knowledge. Much appreciated.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Chris, we'll catch you later. Albert, we'll talk to you later. And Mile High, man, thank you for coming out and continue to inspire all those kids out there, man. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you on the next one.
Anytime. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
Thank you for having me.